Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. I just want to quickly debunk a narrative which has emerged following Ajit Kabayel and Zhang pulling out of IBF final eliminators with Martin Bakole. So the idea is that Martin Bakole was asking for too much money and priced himself out, basically, forcing Kabayel and Zhang to walk away. In fact, Kabayel has apparently made this claim himself. Let me explain why that's not convincing. When a final eliminator is ordered, the two sides are given 30 days to negotiate. If they can't agree terms within that period, a purse bid is called. This is where the fight is shopped out on the open market to the highest bidder. Whatever amount the winning bid is then split between the two fighters. With the IBF, it's a 60-40 split in favor of the higher ranked fighter, which in this case was Ajit Kabayel. He would have got the lion's share, but instead he pulled out before the bid had even taken place, and apparently claimed that he did so because Bakole was asking for too much money. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It doesn't matter what amount Bakole was asking for during negotiations because his purse would have been dictated by the winning purse bid. That's the whole purpose of a purse bid, to resolve an impasse in negotiations. That's what purse bids were created for. If Kabayel really wanted the fight, he would have gone through with the bid. If Bakole had subsequently pulled out after the bid because he wasn't happy with his split, then Kabayel could legitimately claim that Bakole was asking for too much money. And the world would have seen it because the results of purse bids are always made public. But that didn't happen. Kabayel is the one who pulled out before the bid had even taken place. And if this rumored fight between Kabayel and Zhang comes to fruition, then it's going to look like whoever was involved in putting that fight together actually persuaded both fighters not to fight Martin Bakole and to pull out of the purse bid, presumably because they want to freeze Bakole's promoter Ben Shalom out of the heavyweight title picture. Bakole is just one fight away from becoming mandatory for Daniel Dubois. And I just want to reiterate a concern I mentioned on a recent live stream. I saw an interview with Frank Warren the other day where he claimed that Anthony Joshua was a mandatory defense for Daniel Dubois. This is very troubling indeed because Anthony Joshua was not mandatory challenger at the time that fight happened. He had not won a final eliminator to become mandatory challenger. People need to understand that there's a difference between a standard eliminator and a final eliminator. A standard eliminator gets you a higher ranking, but it does not guarantee you a title shot, whereas a final eliminator does guarantee you a title shot. For example, Frank Sanchez versus Efe Ajagba was a standard WBC eliminator. It was not a final eliminator. And Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin was also a standard eliminator. In that instance, for the IBF, it was not a final eliminator. You see, a final eliminator is contested between the two highest ranked available contenders, whereas a standard eliminator can be contested by two contenders who are lower down the rankings. Such was the case with AJ versus Otto Wallin. It was a standard eliminator, it was never a final eliminator. So Dubois, Joshua, was a voluntary defense for Dubois. So what we're possibly looking at here, which will be very disturbing indeed, is that the IBF may have been persuaded to retroactively recognize Dubois versus Joshua as a mandatory defense. And if that's the case, then as far as I can see, the only reason for doing that would be to keep Martin Bakole as far away from Daniel Dubois as possible, because the IBF require that their champions make a mandatory defense once every 9 months. By retroactively changing the Joshua fight into a mandatory defense for Dubois, you would kick Bakole's potential title shot further down the road. These are the kind of dirty games that are played in boxing. The type of dirty games that I would have hoped that Turki Al-Sheikh would be trying to eliminate. After all, in this particular instance, he works with the promoters on both sides. So yeah, just wanted to clear up that nonsensical claim, which has apparently come from Ajit Kabayel himself, that Bakole priced himself out of the fight. Same goes for the Zhang fight. I'm really quite baffled that there are members of the media who are actually entertaining this narrative. It's like they don't understand what a purse bid is and how it works. And just for the sake of anyone who's not familiar with the circumstances in which purse bids are implemented, purse bids do not happen for unifications or voluntary defenses. They only happen for mandatory defenses and elimination matches. That's it. So again, to reiterate, there are no purse bids for unifications, and there are no purse bids when a champion is making a voluntary defense. Purse bids only occur when a champion is making a mandatory defense and he can't come to terms with the challenger, goes to a purse bid, or when two contenders are ordered to fight each other in an elimination match and they can't come to terms, it then goes to a purse bid. If you really want a fight, there is no logical reason whatsoever that you would pull out before a purse bid has taken place. To pull out of a purse bid and then claim that the other guy was asking for too much money is the most absurd excuse I have ever heard. It's totally illogical. It makes no sense. It's the type of excuse concocted by individuals who are relying on public ignorance. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Are you surrounded by mindless bots in human form who adhere to the norm and blindly conform? Who swallow all the mainstream BS and actually ridicule you for questioning things? Do you wish you had more free-thinking individuals in your life to network and converse with? Well, look no further. We're right here. Come and join the Brotherhood of Reason on Patreon. You'll gain access to my weekly topical content where we take deep dives on an endless variety of subjects, as well as my vast back catalogue of podcasts, videos, interviews, movie decodings, and my Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You'll also get to talk and network with myself and hundreds of other people in our members chat. You can enjoy all this via the Patreon app or on desktop and download all my podcasts in high-quality MP3. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store, or simply visit patreon.com on a web browser. Then head on over to my page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.